The scanner warned. Earthborn, do not engage. He laughed, stepped in, and her bare hands killed him. Lieutenant Myra Kessler stood at the edge of the observation deck, eyes fixed on the black void outside. Space had a quiet that was almost complete, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's engines. She loved this quiet. It made her feel alert, alive. Lieutenant Kessler, a voice crackled over the intercom. It was Captain Rin, cheerful as always. How's the outer sensor sweep going? Myra tapped the console in front of her. All clear, Captain. Except there's something drifting near the energy anomaly at Sector 772. Her fingers hesitated. The scanner was showing a shape, a derelict ship of alien design. It was large, old, and partially damaged, nothing like anything humans had ever built. Derelict, Captain Rin's voice carried amusement. You want to go check it out, or leave it for the space scavengers? Mara's eyes narrowed. There was something off about the readings, not just the ship itself, it was the signal coming from it. A pulsing energy she couldn't identify, and then the scanner flashed a warning she had never seen before. Earthborn, do not engage. Captain, I don't think we should approach this one. Her voice was calm but firm. Earthborn, Captain Rin chuckled. That's probably a glitch, Mara. Don't let a computer scare you. Mara frowned. Something inside her told her this wasn't a glitch. She had seen enough in her years aboard the Aurora to know when the sensors were speaking the truth, not a random error. But the captain had already ordered the docking crew to prepare. The team assembled in the docking bay. The hum of the ship vibrated under their feet, and the air was filled with the faint metallic smell of recycled oxygen. Myra adjusted her suit, checking her gloves and utility belt. She had been trained for situations like this, but the warning still made her stomach tighten. Remember, Captain Rin said with a grin, this is probably just a tourist ship abandoned long ago. No need to get jumpy. Let's make this a quick inspection and head back. Mara didn't respond. She simply followed the team, her boots clanging lightly against the metallic floor. The docking tube connected with the alien craft, and the airlock hissed as it equalized pressure. A thin fog of alien mist swirled near the floor. The lights inside the derelict were faint, flickering as if struggling to stay alive. As soon as Mara stepped inside, she felt the difference. The air seemed heavier, charged with a strange energy she couldn't name. Her scanner beeped again. Earthborn, do not engage. See, nothing to worry about, Captain Rin said behind her, his voice echoing strangely in the ship's corridors. You're imagining things. Mara kept moving, her eyes scanning every corner. The walls of the alien craft were smooth but worn, etched with patterns that pulsed faintly as if alive. It was beautiful in a quiet, dangerous way. Every step she took seemed to awaken the ship a little more. Her team split to check different sections. Myra entered a large chamber that had once been the control room. Consoles with glowing symbols lined the walls, but none responded to human touch. She crouched beside one, examining a strange device that hummed softly. A flicker of movement caught her eye. Captain, Myra whispered, her voice low. She turned slowly, but the corridor behind her was empty. A chill ran down her spine. The ship felt alive, watching her, almost testing her. Lieutenant, what is it? Came the captain's voice through her comm. There's someone here, she said cautiously. Or something, I can't tell. The sensors are acting weird. The ship itself is unusual. Unusual? Rin's voice carried amusement, but there was an edge now. Weird ships are the job, Mara. Just stick to the plan. She nodded, though he couldn't see her. Something deep in her instinct screamed that this wasn't a normal derelict. And then a soft sound echoed through the chamber. A whisper, almost mechanical, almost alive. Mara's hand hovered over her sidearm, but something told her she wouldn't need it. Humans had a way of adapting, of surviving in situations no scanner could predict. She had trained for this, and yet the ship seemed aware of her presence in a way she had never felt before. A flicker of movement appeared at the far end of the room. Mara froze, studying it. It was a shadow, yet it moved with precision, deliberate. The air felt heavier. Her heartbeat quickened, but not with fear, anticipation. Then her scanner beeped again, insistent this time. Earthborn, do not engage. Mara's eyes narrowed. The warning wasn't a threat. It was a measure of respect. She didn't fully understand it yet, but she knew one thing. Whatever was inside this ship, it recognized her. It recognized humans. Captain Rin appeared at the doorway behind her, grinning. All clear, Mara. Nothing to see here. She didn't respond. She only turned her attention back to the shadow at the end of the room. Whatever or whoever it was moving closer, slowly. Confidently, Mara tightened her fists, feeling the strength of her training, her instincts, her very humanity. This ship, this anomaly, had underestimated her, and she would not let it, or anyone else, do that again. The shadow paused, and the humming of the alien craft seemed to swell, resonating with a tone that went straight to her bones. Myra realized something important. The ship, the scanner, even the warning, they were all part of a test. And she and Earthborn had passed the first step just by stepping inside. But the next step would come soon, and it would demand everything she had. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, toward the unknown, toward the pulsing shadows, toward whatever challenge awaited her. For Mara Kessler, a human in the vast cold of space, fear was never the point. Adaptation, strength, and courage, that was what counted. And in this moment she felt every bit of it surge through her veins. The ship pulsed once more, softly, almost like a heartbeat. "Earthborn, do not engage," Mara laughed quietly. She was ready. The shadow at the far end of the chamber moved closer, and Mara's senses sharpened. Every step she took echoed slightly against the alien walls, but the shadow's movements were completely silent. It was as if the being, or whatever it was, knew exactly where she stood and how to move around her without a sound. Mara's scanner continued to flash the warning, "Earthborn, do not engage." She clenched her fists, feeling the familiar surge of determination humans carried inside them. Years of training, survival exercises, and instinctive thinking had led to this moment. She could handle this. She would handle this. A figure emerged from the darkness, not large but imposing. Its armor reflected the dim alien lights, shimmering with a faint energy field that seemed alive. It was a bounty hunter, a species notorious across the sector for underestimating humans. Myra recognized the style instantly, agile, calculated, confident, deadly. Well, what do we have here?" The voice was smooth, mocking, almost amused. "A little earthling wandering into a place you don't belong?" Myra's eyes narrowed. "You're far from your own territory," she replied evenly, her voice steady. "And this ship isn't yours to take." The hunter laughed, a low, cold sound that echoed in the chamber. "Weak, that's what I expected. Humans are weak, easy prey. I should leave you for the ship to test." He gestured toward the faint glowing patterns on the walls. "But no, I want to see how you die." Mara didn't flinch. She had seen humans dismissed by bigger, stronger species before. And yet humans had a way of surviving, of turning the impossible into the expected. She tightened her stance, ready for what came next. The hunter moved suddenly, lunging forward with blinding speed. Mara's instincts took over. She sidestepped, letting him stumble past. Her hand grabbed a nearby panel, swinging herself into a roll that put her behind him. The hunter's head snapped around, his eyes wide with surprise. He had underestimated her. "You move fast for a human," he said, a hint of curiosity in his voice now. Maybe the scanner was wrong, but Mara knew the scanner was never wrong. "Earthborn, do not engage." It wasn't a mistake. It was a warning, a recognition. The alien craft, the ship itself, somehow knew humans in a way no other species did. And that recognition was now flowing into her veins, giving her a strength that went beyond muscle and bone. The hunter lunged again, this time swinging a high-energy blade designed to cut through almost anything. Mara ducked under the strike, feeling the air burn her cheeks as the weapon passed inches above her head. She grabbed a pipe from the floor and swung it at him. He blocked it effortlessly, but the impact made him pause for a fraction of a second. That fraction was enough. Myra pushed off the wall, twisting her body in midair. Her foot connected with his chest, sending him backward into a console that flickered and sparked. He staggered, clearly frustrated. Not bad at all," he muttered, rubbing his shoulder, but Myra was not done. Her training had always emphasized one thing: adaptability. Humans could think, improvise, and use anything at hand as a weapon. She scanned the room quickly. Consoles, pipes, energy conduits, everything could be used. Every instinct told her how to turn the environment to her advantage. The hunter lunged again, faster this time. Myra ducked under his arm and grabbed a glowing energy conduit. She swung it like a staff. The conduit buzzed with alien power, crackling, making him hesitate. He wasn't used to this. Humans didn't usually fight with energy weapons without training. But Mara didn't need training in alien tech. She relied on instinct and courage. The hunter stepped back, eyes narrowing. "You're different," he said, almost grudgingly. "I've never seen a human like you." Mara didn't answer. Words wouldn't help. Action would. She lunged forward, striking with the conduit, forcing him to block. He swung his blade, but she twisted her body, ducking and striking again. The hunter stumbled, clearly underestimating her strength and precision. Suddenly, the alien craft seemed to respond. The walls pulsed brighter, almost in rhythm with her movements. Myra realized something incredible. The ship itself was reacting to her. It recognized her. It recognized humans. The same energy that had warned her now seemed to amplify her abilities, giving her reflexes that felt faster, movements sharper, instincts clearer. The hunter noticed it too. He stopped mid-strike, his eyes scanning her and then the pulsing walls. What is happening?" he muttered. "How are you moving like that?" Mara smirked. "I told you humans survive, we adapt, we fight smarter, faster, better." He hesitated, the first real hesitation she had seen. And Mara knew in that moment that the battle was no longer just physical, it was a test. The ship had chosen her. The scanner had chosen her. Humans had been underestimated for too long, and now she would prove why Earthborn meant more than any warning. The hunter lunged one last time, desperate. Myra sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and used his momentum to throw him across the chamber. He crashed into the wall with a loud metallic thud, momentarily stunned. Myra approached cautiously, fists raised, eyes sharp. "Enough games," she said, her voice steady. "I warned you, you should have listened." The hunter groaned, struggling to rise. His confidence had vanished. Humans were supposed to be weak, predictable, yet here she stood, unarmed in the traditional sense, yet unstoppable. Her bare hands, honed by training, instincts, and sheer determination, were now her deadliest weapons. Mara noticed something else. The hunter wasn't just a challenge, he was a lesson. The scanner's warning wasn't meant to scare her. It was meant to prepare him. The ship had tested her, and she had passed. Now it was the hunter who had been caught unprepared. He tried to lunge again, but Mara moved faster than he expected. She grabbed his wrist, twisted, and used his own strength to throw him to the ground. The energy blade clattered harmlessly away, spinning across the floor. He groaned, realizing he had lost. Mara stepped back, breathing steadily, eyes fixed on him. "This ship recognizes humans," she said. "You underestimated us, that's your mistake." The hunter coughed, frustration and surprise written across his face. I've never humans like you," he stammered. Mara didn't answer. She turned her attention back to the ship, feeling the energy pulse around her. The scanner's warning had stopped, replaced by a calm glow. She realized the craft had acknowledged her, had accepted her as an Earthborn capable of handling its challenge. She felt pride, not arrogance. Humans had survived against impossible odds for millennia, adapting and evolving in ways others couldn't. This was no different. Mara was Earthborn, and the universe was about to learn what that meant. Captain Rin's voice came through the comm again. "Lieutenant, are you okay? What's happening?" "I'm fine," Mara said, her voice calm, almost serene. "The ship, it recognizes us, it recognizes humans. And we're not weak, not now, not ever." There was silence for a moment. Then Captain Rin said softly, "You've done something incredible, Mara. I don't know what to say." Mara smiled, feeling the quiet strength inside her. "You don't need to say anything, Captain. Just remember this, humans survive, humans adapt, and humans fight smarter than anyone expects." The hunter struggled to his feet again, defeated but alive. Mara didn't attack. The lesson had been delivered. Humans were no longer prey, they were forces to be reckoned with. The chamber pulsed one last time, a soft, steady beat that resonated through her very bones. Mara realized that this was only the beginning. The universe was full of challenges, full of beings who underestimated Earthborn's strength and ingenuity. But she was ready. She would face them all. And so, Mara Kessler, a single human on a derelict alien craft, had proven that the warnings were not threats. They were acknowledgments, a recognition that humans, even alone, were far more capable than anyone dared to believe. The hunter groaned, retreating into the shadows, and Mara watched him go. She knew he would never underestimate humans again. And she knew, deep in her bones, that this was only the first of many battles where Earthborn's strength would be tested, and won. Mara stepped forward, leaving the hunter behind. The alien ship stretched ahead, corridors glowing faintly with unknown power. Adventure awaited, challenges awaited, but Mara was ready. The warning had been clear, and now she understood it fully. Earthborn, do not engage. It was not a threat, it was a promise. And humans always keep their promises. Mara stepped cautiously through the alien corridors, her eyes scanning every curve, every shadow. The hunter she had defeated, though not destroyed, had retreated into the darkness, leaving behind only the faint hum of his armor and the echo of his disbelief. Mara didn't look back. Her focus was on the ship itself. She had survived the first challenge, but she knew the alien craft had more tests in store. The walls pulsed softly with a light that seemed almost alive. Myra had noticed it before, but now the glow felt more pronounced, as if guiding her or perhaps testing her response. She walked carefully, her boots making soft thuds against the metallic floor. The ship was silent except for the occasional hum of energy conduits. Yet every step she took made her feel a strange connection, like the ship was observing her, learning from her movements, measuring her decisions. Her scanner, which had displayed the warning repeatedly, now remained calm. Earthborn, do not engage. The message lingered in her mind, a reminder that humans were rare in their abilities, adaptable in ways other species could not predict. Mara smiled faintly. Humans had always survived, always found a way, and she was about to prove it again. She reached a junction where 3 corridors stretched before her, each one glowing faintly with alien energy. Mara paused, analyzing her options. One corridor led to what appeared to be a large chamber. Another twisted downward into darkness. The third glowed with a soft golden light, almost welcoming. She chose the golden-lit corridor. Something about it felt important, vital. As she moved forward, the light seemed to brighten slightly with each step she took, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Myra reached out to touch the wall. The surface was smooth but warm, and a soft vibration traveled through her fingertips. The ship was responding to her touch. Suddenly, the soft hum changed, becoming a low, resonant tone that reverberated through her chest. Myra froze, her instincts on high alert. From the shadows ahead, a movement appeared, subtle at first, but unmistakable. Something or someone was waiting for her. A figure emerged slowly, stepping into the golden glow. This one was different from the hunter, taller, more imposing, with armor that shimmered like liquid metal. Its eyes, or sensors, glowed with a soft blue light. Mara realized instantly this was not merely a warrior. It was a guardian, a protector of the ship. Mara raised her hands slightly, not in fear, but in readiness. The guardian's movements were precise, deliberate, calculated. It made no sudden attacks. Instead, it studied her as if weighing her worth. The scanner beeped softly, and Mara saw the warning again, now almost like a pulse on the display. Earthborn, do not engage. The message was clear. The guardian was not meant to be fought recklessly. It was testing her. Mara took a deep breath, centering herself. She remembered the lessons from the fight with the hunter. Humans could survive, humans could adapt, and humans could turn the environment to their advantage. She would need every ounce of her training, every instinct, every bit of courage to face this guardian. The guardian stepped forward, and Mara mirrored the movement, maintaining a safe distance. She noticed that it was not attacking, but every movement it made was deliberate, measuring her responses, her speed, her ability to think under pressure. Suddenly, it lunged, not at her, but at a console nearby. Myra realized instantly what it was doing. The Guardian was testing her awareness, her ability to respond to threats that were not direct attacks. She dashed forward, grabbing a glowing panel just before it toppled. Sparks flew, and the Guardian observed silently, tilting its head as if acknowledging her quick reaction. Mara realized that this was more than a fight. It was a challenge of perception, of intelligence, of instinct. Humans had always excelled in situations where adaptability mattered more than raw strength. She smiled faintly, her confidence growing. The Guardian moved again, faster this time, its strikes precise and aimed to test her agility. Mara ducked, dodged, and countered with movements that flowed naturally, almost instinctively. She noticed that the ship seemed to respond to her, amplifying her reactions, guiding her movements subtly. The golden light pulsed in rhythm with her actions, and Mara felt a connection she couldn't explain, a bond between human and machine, instinct and energy, presence and purpose. The Guardian paused, almost studying her with curiosity. Mara didn't hesitate. She approached slowly, keeping her hands visible, her movements calm but deliberate. She realized that attacking would be foolish. This encounter was a test, not a battle to be won by force. The Guardian made a sudden movement toward her left, and Mara reacted instantly, stepping aside and grabbing a fallen pipe. She held it loosely, not as a weapon, but as a tool, ready to respond to whatever challenge came next. The Guardian lunged, and Mara moved in perfect synchronization, using the pipe to redirect its momentum. The Guardian didn't resist. Instead, it adjusted, observing how she adapted. Mara realized then that the Guardian was teaching her something. The ship, the warning, the Guardian, they were all connected. Humans were not just strong or fast, they were clever, adaptable, capable of turning challenges into advantages. The warning had been a recognition of potential, not a threat. The Guardian stepped back, raising its arms slowly. Mara mirrored the gesture, understanding that this was a form of acknowledgement. The test was not over, but she had proven herself capable of keeping pace, of responding intelligently and decisively. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the corridor. Panels flickered and Mara's heart raced. The ship itself seemed to shift, reconfiguring its corridors, creating new paths, new challenges. The Guardian didn't attack, but its presence became more imposing, more insistent. Mara realized that the true test was not brute strength. It was her ability to remain calm, focused, and adaptable under pressure. She moved forward carefully, studying the Guardian's patterns, observing how it reacted to her movements. Every action she took was calculated, instinctive, yet precise. The ship pulsed with energy, almost as if cheering her on, guiding her steps, rewarding her quick thinking. The golden light grew brighter, illuminating the path ahead. Mara saw a large chamber at the end of the corridor, filled with alien symbols and consoles. The Guardian moved toward it, signaling her to follow. Mara understood. The final test awaited, and she was ready. As she entered the chamber, she felt a strange warmth, a sense of anticipation. The Guardian stood at the center, its eyes, or sensors, focused on her. Mara noticed that the symbols on the floor glowed in response to her presence, forming patterns that seemed to guide her movements. The scanner beeped one last time before going silent. The warning had disappeared, replaced by a calm, steady light. Mara realized the meaning clearly now. The ship had acknowledged her. She had proven her instincts, her adaptability, and her strength. Humans were capable of far more than any other species had assumed. The Guardian stepped aside, allowing Mara to approach the central console. She reached out and touched it. The energy pulsed beneath her fingers, responding to her presence. The chamber seemed to come alive, lights dancing across the walls, symbols shifting and rearranging themselves. Mara felt a deep connection, as if the ship recognized her as one of its own. Her mind raced with possibilities. This ship, this Guardian, this energy, it was all a test, a measure of what humans could do. She understood now that the warning had been a recognition of potential, not a threat. Humans were rare in the galaxy, underestimated by countless species. But here, in this alien craft, Mara felt the truth. Humans were extraordinary. The Guardian stepped back completely, lowering its arms in a gesture of respect. Mara knew that the test was complete. She had passed not by brute force alone, but by using every bit of her training, every instinct, every ounce of her humanity. Mara took a deep breath and stepped forward, feeling a sense of triumph that went beyond personal victory. She had proven that humans could face challenges no other species could handle. The ship, the Guardian, the scanner's warning, they had all recognized it. As she looked around the chamber, Mara realized something else. The journey was far from over. The alien craft held more mysteries, more challenges, more tests, but she was ready. Humans had survived the impossible for centuries. They had adapted, evolved, and thrived in ways others could not imagine. And Mara Kessler, an Earthborn human, was no exception. She took another step forward, toward the pulsing light at the center of the chamber, toward the unknown. The Guardian watched silently, a silent acknowledgement of her strength and intelligence. Mara smiled faintly, feeling the quiet power of humanity coursing through her veins. The encounter was over. The challenge had been met. But the adventure, the discovery, and the test of human ingenuity were only just beginning. Earthborn, do not engage. The words echoed in her mind, now a statement of recognition, a promise of potential, a reminder that humans were more than anyone had ever imagined. And Mara Kessler, standing alone in the heart of an alien craft, felt the truth of it deep in her bones. Humans survived. Humans adapted. Humans conquered challenges with mind, body, and spirit. And no one, no matter how powerful, could underestimate them again. The chamber pulsed softly around Mara, golden light spilling across walls covered in alien symbols. Her steps echoed as she moved closer to the central console. Every movement she made seemed to resonate with the ship itself. It was alive in a way she had never experienced before. And now, after surviving the Guardian's test, she felt a calm certainty within herself. She knelt before the console and reached out, brushing her fingers across the glowing surface. Energy rippled beneath her touch. A holographic display flickered to life above the panel, showing complex alien scripts and shifting geometric patterns. Mara frowned. She couldn't read them, at least not as they were, but her instincts told her what mattered. The ship was communicating, not with words but with recognition, with understanding. The symbols shifted and formed a sequence that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She realized this was not just a machine. It was a test, a system designed to identify potential, to measure capability, and now it was focused entirely on her. Mara leaned closer. Her mind raced, thinking about everything she had seen so far. The derelict alien craft, the warning Earthborn, do not engage. The hunter who had underestimated her, and the guardian who had tested her in a way no human had ever been tested before. Everything made sense now. This ship had been waiting for humans, specifically for someone capable of surviving its trials. Her scanner, which had previously been insistent with warnings, now displayed a calm reading. Earthborn recognized. Mara exhaled slowly. Recognition. It wasn't just a label. It was respect. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Species across the stars assumed humans were weak, fragile, and easy to overpower. Yet here in the quiet depths of this alien ship, the truth was clear. Humans were extraordinary. Adaptable, resourceful, intelligent, capable of instinctive thinking and survival that no other species could match. The console shifted again, projecting a series of holographic images. Mara saw scenes that were impossible at first glance, humans in various environments, surviving and thriving against odds that seemed insurmountable. She realized the ship had been monitoring humanity, not with malice, but with fascination. Earthborn humans were unique, and the ship had been designed to measure that uniqueness, to challenge it, and to honor it. She stepped back, letting the images swirl around her. She understood then why the hunter had been so wrong. He had assumed humans were predictable, weak, and lacking in the kind of raw instinct and creativity that other species prized. But the ship had recognized what humans already knew deep inside themselves. That survival depended on adaptability, intelligence, and courage. A soft sound caught her attention. The guardian from the previous encounter stepped forward, moving in a way that was almost deferential. Its eyes glowed softly, acknowledging her. Mara realized the guardian was not merely a protector. It was a teacher, a guide, a judge of human capability. It had tested her to see if she embodied the qualities the ship valued most. "Humans are remarkable," Mara whispered aloud, though the ship seemed to understand her words as well as her presence. "We survive, we adapt, we fight smarter than anyone expects." The holographic display shifted again, showing images of humans working together, thinking creatively, and overcoming challenges with tools and instincts alike. The ship's lesson was clear. Strength alone did not define a species' capability. Intelligence, intuition, and resilience mattered more. Humans had always excelled at those qualities. Mara traced a glowing pattern on the console. The shapes responded to her touch, reorganizing themselves in ways that made sense to her almost instinctively. She realized that this was a final test, not of strength, but of comprehension. Could she understand what the ship was teaching? Could she recognize the significance of the recognition she had received? "Yes," she whispered to herself, "I understand." The golden light in the chamber brightened, and Mara felt a warm, almost comforting energy envelop her. The guardian lowered itself completely, signaling that her understanding was correct. She had passed the test. Humans were acknowledged, not as weak creatures, but as Earthborn beings capable of extraordinary feats. Mara stepped toward the center of the chamber, feeling the energy pulse beneath her feet. The ship seemed to respond to her presence, recognizing her courage, her intelligence, her resilience. It was as if the ship itself was saying, "You are worthy. You are Earthborn. You are capable of what no other species can do." Her thoughts returned to the hunter. He had been strong, dangerous, and skilled, but he had underestimated her. He had assumed that humans could be judged by appearances alone. Mara realized that this was the point. Humans had a history of overcoming impossible odds, of using what others dismissed as weakness to their advantage. That was the essence of being Earthborn. Mara turned her attention back to the holographic display. It shifted once more, now showing a vast map of the galaxy with symbols and points of energy that seemed to pulse like stars. She understood that the ship had been placed here as a test for humanity, not as a trap, but as an opportunity. Whoever could pass its trials would gain knowledge, understanding, and perhaps even tools that could help humans thrive in the wider universe. The realization filled Mara with awe. The ship's warning had not been a threat, it had been a measure of respect. Do not engage was not a command to retreat. It was a recognition that humans were capable of extraordinary things, and any attack on an Earthborn could trigger consequences beyond the imagination of lesser species. She glanced at the Guardian again. Its glowing eyes held a quiet respect, almost as if it were acknowledging her humanity as something rare and valuable. Mara felt a swell of pride. Humans had always been underestimated. Now she was living proof that their potential could not be ignored. Her hands hovered over the console once more. The energy responded to her touch, pulsing in rhythm with her own heartbeat. She could feel it, almost as if the ship were alive, not just testing her, but communicating with her. Humans had always relied on intuition and instinct to survive, and now the ship was confirming that those qualities were exactly what made them extraordinary. Mara allowed herself a small smile. She had proven her strength, her intelligence, and her adaptability. But more than that, she had learned the deeper truth. Humans were capable of greatness not because they were physically strong, but because they could think, adapt, and persevere when faced with impossible challenges. The holographic display shifted one last time, showing a final message in symbols that seemed to translate in her mind without words. It was simple, yet powerful, Earthborn recognized, potential unmatched. Mara stood still for a moment, letting the weight of the revelation sink in. Humans were extraordinary. Their potential had been acknowledged by an alien intelligence in a way no other species had been. The galaxy had underestimated them for centuries. Now Mara understood why. Humans could survive anything. Humans could adapt to anything. Humans could turn challenges into victories, and humans would not be ignored. She looked around the chamber once more. The golden light pulsed softly, welcoming her. The Guardian had stepped back completely, allowing her full access to the console and the knowledge it held. Mara realized that the real journey was just beginning. The ship had revealed its purpose, but it had also opened a door to understanding, to exploration, and to proving the true strength of humanity to the galaxy. Her thoughts drifted to her crew aboard the Aurora. They had followed her into the unknown, trusting her judgment, relying on her strength and intelligence. Now, with the ship recognizing her as an Earthborn capable of extraordinary feats, she knew that the knowledge and tools she could gain here could help humanity as a whole. Mara took a deep breath. She was ready to learn everything the ship had to offer, to understand the potential it had seen in her, and to carry that knowledge back to humanity. She felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. Humans had always faced the impossible and turned it into opportunity. And here, in this alien craft, she had proof of what that really meant. The ship pulsed once more, a steady rhythm that seemed to echo through the entire chamber. Mara reached out and placed her hands firmly on the console. The energy flowed into her, not as a weapon, but as understanding, a gift of insight and potential. She felt her mind expand, recognizing patterns, possibilities, and strategies that humans had never imagined. The ship had given her a glimpse of what Earthborn strength truly meant. Mara stepped back, her eyes shining with determination. She understood now that the warning had been more than a message. It was a recognition, a test, and a promise. Humans were capable of incredible feats, and now the galaxy would learn it through her. The chamber's golden light dimmed slightly, signaling that her time in this part of the ship was complete. The Guardian remained, watching silently, a sentinel of respect and acknowledgement. Mara nodded to it. She didn't need words. Both of them understood the truth. Humans had survived impossible odds. Humans had adapted, endured, and thrived. And now Mara Kessler, recognized as an Earthborn by the ship itself, would carry that truth forward. The ship had revealed its deepest secret. Humans were extraordinary, and the galaxy would soon discover it. Mara Kessler stepped into the final chamber of the alien ship, the golden light from the corridors fading behind her. This chamber was vast, taller than any human structure she had ever seen, and filled with floating holographic patterns that twisted and shifted like living stars. The air hummed with energy, thick yet clear, charged with purpose. Mara could feel the ship's recognition coursing through her veins, a subtle encouragement that she had never experienced before. The guardian from the previous chamber remained at the far end, motionless but alert. Mara knew it was watching, ensuring that she understood the final test. This was not a battle of brute strength. It was a challenge of intellect, instinct, and adaptability, everything that made humans extraordinary. She approached the floating console at the center. Holographic symbols hovered before her, shifting constantly. Mara reached out and the symbols rearranged themselves, responding to her touch. Each motion triggered a reaction, a sequence, a pattern that formed in the air. She realized instantly. The ship was testing her ability to think, to perceive, and to adapt under pressure. Her mind raced. Every puzzle, every obstacle in the chambers before had prepared her for this moment. Humans had always survived by observing, learning, and responding faster than others expected. That instinctive adaptability, the hallmark of Earthborn resilience, was now the key to passing this final trial. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the chamber, low and resonant, vibrating in her chest. The hunter from the derelict ship appeared at the chamber entrance. He had recovered, but his movements were cautious, uncertain. Mara felt no fear. Humans had survived far more dangerous challenges than one underestimating bounty hunter. The hunter laughed, a sound more tense than confident. "So, this is the one, the Earthborn they warned about?" Mara didn't reply. She had no need for words. Her hands were already moving, interacting with the holographic symbols. The hunter lunged, attempting to catch her off guard. Mara sidestepped effortlessly, her reflexes honed by the Guardian's tests and the ship's subtle guidance. Every move she made was precise, efficient, and instinctive. The hunter swung a weapon designed to cut through nearly anything. Mara ducked, rolled, and grabbed a floating holographic panel, using it as a shield. Sparks of energy bounced harmlessly from the panel, disorienting him for a moment. The hunter stumbled back, realizing that her strength was more than physical. Her mind was quick, her instincts faster, and her understanding of the ship's energy gave her an edge he could not anticipate. Mara's eyes darted to the floating symbols. The ship's patterns shifted in response to her movements. She understood then that this was a symbiotic test. The more she adapted and responded, the more the ship amplified her awareness. Humans were uniquely capable of this kind of intuitive problem-solving, and she was proving it. The hunter, frustrated and increasingly desperate, lunged again. Mara stepped forward, letting her bare hands connect with his armored forearm. The strength and precision in her movements sent him tumbling back, unarmed and off balance. Every strike, every movement was measured, controlled, and guided by both instinct and intelligence. "You're stronger than I thought," the hunter admitted, breathing heavily. "How can a human—" Mara didn't answer. She moved forward calmly, eyes fixed on the floating symbols at the center of the chamber. The hunter made a final attempt to attack, but Mara caught his wrist mid-lunge, twisting his momentum against him. He crashed to the floor, groaning, unable to rise. The chamber pulsed with energy, and Mara realized that the ship itself was approving her actions. The Guardian lowered its stance, a silent acknowledgement that she had mastered the challenge. Humans were not just survivors. They were intelligent, adaptable, and capable of mastering even alien systems that tested their limits. Mara stepped toward the central console, placing her hands on the glowing patterns. The symbols rearranged themselves into a single image, a representation of the galaxy, with Earth highlighted as a bright, pulsing point of energy. She understood instantly. The ship was showing her the potential of humanity in the universe. Earthborn humans were recognized as extraordinary, capable of thriving where others failed. Her mind absorbed the information, understanding the strategies, the knowledge, and the possibilities it contained. The ship was not just a challenge, it was a gift, a repository of knowledge for those capable of recognizing their potential. Mara felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. Humans had always been underestimated, but now she had proof. The hunter struggled to rise, but Mara moved toward him, her stance calm and confident. She didn't need to strike again. The lesson had been delivered. Humans could think, adapt, and respond with intelligence and precision far beyond what other species expected. The hunter looked at her, eyes wide, understanding that he had been defeated not by weapons, but by the extraordinary capabilities of a human being. Mara's hands hovered over the central console, the symbols flowing beneath her fingertips. She felt a connection to the ship, as if it recognized her as a representative of her species. She understood that the knowledge she gained here was not just for her own benefit, it was for humanity. The galaxy would learn, through her, the true potential of Earthborn humans. The chamber pulsed once more, brighter than before. Mara felt a surge of energy, not dangerous but empowering. Her body moved with precision and grace, every motion guided by instinct and awareness. She was no longer just a human in an alien ship. She was a symbol of Earthborn strength, adaptability, and intelligence. The hunter, defeated but alive, stepped back. He understood now that humans were not to be underestimated. Mara didn't look at him with hatred or anger. She looked at him with quiet authority. Humans survived not by recklessness, but by combining intelligence, instinct, and adaptability. That combination made them extraordinary. The Guardian moved to the side, leaving Mara alone with the central console. She placed both hands on the symbols, and the chamber responded. The light intensified, illuminating the entire space, revealing patterns and pathways that had been hidden before. Mara realized that the ship was opening new possibilities for exploration, for discovery, and for humanity's place in the galaxy. Her mind raced with the implications. The knowledge contained in this ship, combined with human ingenuity, could change everything. Humans had always adapted to impossible situations. Now, with the ship's recognition and guidance, they could achieve even greater things. Mara turned toward the chamber's exit, knowing that her journey here was complete. The ship had tested her, recognized her, and revealed its secrets. She had proven that humans were capable of extraordinary feats. The hunter, the guardian, the challenges, each had been part of a test, and she had passed with skill, intelligence, and calm determination. As she moved back through the corridors, the golden light fading behind her, Mara felt a sense of triumph that went beyond personal achievement. This was a victory for all humans. The scanner's warning, "Earthborn, do not engage," was no longer a cautionary note. It was a statement of recognition, a promise of potential, and a confirmation that humans were extraordinary. She reached the airlock and contacted the Aurora. "Captain Rin," she said, her voice steady and filled with purpose. "The ship, it recognizes us, humans. Earthborn humans, we're capable of more than anyone has ever imagined." There was silence on the other end for a moment. Then Captain Rin's voice came, filled with awe. "Mara, you've done something incredible. The crew needs to hear this." Mara smiled faintly. "We'll all understand soon enough. Humanity has always survived, always adapted, and always found a way. Now the galaxy will see it too." She stepped into the docking tube, the alien ship behind her glowing softly, as if acknowledging her presence and accomplishments. The hunter had learned his lesson, the Guardian had fulfilled its duty, and Mara had proven that humans were not to be underestimated. The Aurora's engines hummed as she rejoined the crew. She could feel the pride and excitement in the air. Humans had faced the unknown and emerged not just alive, but stronger, smarter, and more capable than ever. Mara looked out into the endless blackness of space, feeling the weight and the promise of the universe. Humans had always adapted, always survived, and always thrived. Now, with the recognition of the alien ship, they had proof that Earthborn potential was unmatched. And Mara Kessler, standing among her crew, knew that the adventures ahead would be met with courage, intelligence, and the unshakable determination of humanity. "Earthborn, do not engage." It was no longer a warning. It was a declaration. Humans had survived, humans had adapted, humans had triumphed, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.